Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Julie Bellino. I work for Renewable Energy Vermont. I'm the operations coordinator. So that's kind of a vague title for everything that I do at REV. We are a small nonprofit. We represent about 150 renewable energy businesses in the state of Vermont. So anybody from folks who install solar, Sun Common's a member, people who develop wind farms, educational organizations, nonprofits, just essentially anybody who supports our mission of furthering renewable energy in our state. So a lot of what we do is work at the State House, the Public Service Board, and the Public Service Department, shaping energy legislation in Vermont. So day to day, my job kind of varies. It depends on what's going on. If anything, it's kind of, my schedule depends on the time of year. So the legislative session in Vermont runs from January to May, and during that time, I mean, I could be doing anything from sending out an action alert to our members, to printing up 500 copies of a bill, to fixing up our website. And then in March, we moved to organizing our annual conference, which has about 500 attendees, and contacting speakers, just essentially making sure a conference can be pulled off in October. How did I get here? I graduated from UVM in 2011. I spent 6 months kind of applying for jobs. You know, I had another job, but I wasn't really employed by a reputable organization. So I applied to this job, and miraculously I got it, which was pretty cool. And I guess the one thing that really helped me was maintaining good relationships with my professors. I had a couple, I wrote a thesis, so I had my thesis advisor, and then I had a work study job, which was really instrumental in giving me experience that I could apply, put on a resume and use when I was applying to a job. And yeah, I guess that's kind of how I got here. Anything else?
We're going to bring you all up and ask you lots of questions.
Cool, all right.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ben Plotzker, and about a year ago, I was actually sitting in the same seat in the same class in the Waterman building. So you can really, I can see myself in the seat. But so I work at Vermont Energy Investment Corporation, better known as VEIC, and it runs 3 different energy efficiency utilities here in Vermont, down in DC, and in Ohio. And my responsibilities there are to evaluate and measure and verify many engineering projects in these 3 different energy efficiency utilities. So my day-to-day work consists of evaluating these energy efficiency projects, which install any different types of appliances that save different sources of energy, anything from electricity to thermal efficiency. I am also in charge of custom project quality assurance, which is making sure these projects are going through the process correctly, so the Public Service Board here in Vermont verifies our kilowatt hour savings as well as MMBTU savings. And I got this job right out of school. I actually got it back in April while I was still a student, and thanks to a lot of the work I did here, and also I did a lot of work with Richard in the past, who I highly recommend as a mentor. I got to where I am today. And when I came into UVM, I really didn't know that I'd be going into the energy sector. I was actually a civil engineer as I started, and I realized that engineering was very fixed on the calculations, not so much the social and political sides of what I wanted to get into. And I changed over to environmental studies in my sophomore year, took a class with Richard called Sustainable Transportation Planning, and soon later did an internship with him to helped market his book called Public Meltdown, which is the story of Vermont Yankee here in Vermont. And ever since then, I pursued energy literature and classes here and really enjoyed my time here and really happy where I am today. Thank you.
All right, so Alyssa. When you guys graduate, you have to come back and do this too, okay? So write this down. This is part of our class requirements.
Hi, I'm Alyssa. I work for CarShare Vermont. I also took this class and was a TA for this class during my time at UVM. And this was definitely one of my environmental studies classes that kind of gave me a good picture of some of the different things that I later became interested in. Let's see. So at CarShare, I do member services and outreach. So I do some of the outreach events on campus to sort of talk to people about what we do. Or I guess maybe I should talk about what CarShare does first. So we're a nonprofit organization. How we relate to energy use is transportation is one of the largest energy use sectors in the state of Vermont. So our goal is to sort of help reduce the energy spent on transportation by giving people opportunities to not own a personal vehicle and also to drive less. So instead of owning a car, you could join CarShare and just use and pay for a car when you need it instead of paying for a car all the time. Yeah, I became really excited about transportation when I was in school here. I took Richard's class, Cars, Culture, and Media, and that was sort of what got me just heated and excited about my way to sort of contribute to my environmental interests. And I got my job at CarShare. Julie mentioned just maintaining good relationships with professors, and I would say also with people that I worked with. So I interned with the Regional Planning Commission, and one of my coworkers there saw that there was a job at CarShare and sent me the posting, and that was kind of how I got my foot in the door. So I would definitely say also that maintaining good relationships with professors as well as just every person you work with, and if there's people that are doing things that are interesting to you, it's worthwhile to stay connected to them because it's really easy for someone to recommend you for a job, and that can be a big help. So yeah, at CarShare, I do member services and outreach. So I'm around on campus a lot, talking about our work and just sort of promoting our organization. And then I do customer service. I do all the billing for CarShare, and it's a small organization, so I do a little bit of everything. And yeah, I think that's good for now.
All right, so I'm Quinn McElwain, and I work I'm a general contractor and a carpenter, and I work for McElwain Contracting LLC, which is a business that I established. Basically, I do frame to finish carpentry work, and I do a lot of stuff with energy efficiency, like a recent project that I completed started as a radon mitigation, and basically, does anybody know what radon is? Probably not. It's a gas that comes out of the earth naturally, and basically it can be harmful to your health. So some people that I know they did a radon test in their basement, figured out that they had super high levels of radon and they needed to mitigate it, so they called in a radon specialist, and he basically told them that he didn't want to do the work, but they could find somebody else to do the work, and he would certify it. So they called me, and I dug out their basement, installed a radon exhaust system, poured a slab, repointed all the walls, and then I hired a company called Building Energy to come in and do some air sealing with closed cell spray foam. And actually prior to that, we had somebody come and do a energy audit, a company called Harvest Star. So they did a blower door test, and then after that, we did all the insulating, and then they came back to do a blower door test, and we're waiting on the results for that. But basically that'll help them to save some money tax-wise, and also to help them save some money on the heating costs for their home, and keep the radon out, basically. Also, another project that I'm working on right now is a renovation that involves some serious structural foundation work, where we cut off an addition to the back side of a house, put another foundation underneath it, and then rebuilt all the walls, re-insulated everything. Again, I hired Building Energy to come in and do blown-in cellulose. And then we're working on finishing that project up, and I've also been working kind of over the summer on a project in Stowe for RetroVest, which is an energy certified contractor with Efficiency Vermont. RetroVest is a large developer, and they do like South Village. They started South Village in on Spear Street in South Burlington, which is a pretty recent development. We're building condos for them in Stowe. We gutted this old house that they bought at an auction right on South Main Street past the fire station. And then we cut all the floor systems out, reframed in all the floors, and then furred all the walls out to thermal wall, which is 2x6 dimension. And we replaced all the windows, and then once we get permits, we're going to start building more condos off of that building. That's about it. I got most of my experience from an Energy Star certified contractor called Catamount North Construction, where I worked for a little over 2 years following high school. And I pretty much learned everything, or I learned a lot of stuff there. We did basically everything. Did a lot of new construction. We did a lot of remodels, and usually when we do a remodel, it would involve a blower door test, and then we would do all the works, and then somebody would come in, add insulation where it was necessary, and then they'd do another blower door test once we were finished, and they could qualify for tax rebates through Efficiency Vermont based on the reduction in the air lossage that we took care of. Yeah, I've done a whole bunch of projects that had to do with increasing the energy efficiency in existing structures, and also building new structures. We did a project on Spear Street in South Burlington. It was a brand new home. It was like 4,000 square feet or something, but it was super tight. Had insulated sheathing, and then got it's 2x6 framed with spray foam insulation and triple insulated windows, and I could go on and on, but that's
Cool, right from our very own class. Carson.
All right. Hi, guys. I'm Carson. I think I've met some of you maybe at the Renewable Energy Vermont conference. I just recently graduated in 2014. I work for Suncommon now. I'm a solar organizer. I know that Dwayne came in to speak to the class. I hope he was exciting.
He was one of our favorites.
Yeah, our Monday meetings. So Mondays are like really crazy for us at the office, and we're running around, and Dwayne's always like popping in, just saying really weird things. So it's always really fun. But yeah, so I'm a solar organizer. So that's like a little bit of a different title. So that means that I'm basically doing community outreach and community education on solar, and my focus is sort of on Chittenden County. So I work with a lot of energy committees. I work with homeowners. I work with local businesses and restaurants to host community events that are surrounded, all about basically solar 101 sessions. And then also we're now branching off and doing community solar projects. So yeah, that's sort of my focus for now. My day-to-day varies totally. Some days I'm going out and doing a lot of meetings. Some days I am in the office making a lot of phone calls, trying to just line up doing events. So I'm really excited to be able to travel around and talk about solar all throughout the state. Well, all throughout Chittenden County, but sometimes further. So I graduated from UVM with a degree in natural resources. And I actually as well started as an engineer, and then decided I was really, I wanted to have more of a well-rounded background. When I graduated, I wanted to sort of understand the social aspect of renewables. And so I would say, one of the best parts about being at UVM and being in Vermont is that I had a really great opportunity to work with lots of people in the community. So I had the opportunity to work in Governor Shumlin's office when I was, I think, a sophomore. And at that same time, I was doing research on the Clean Energy Development Fund, which was a fund that was basically created as, there's lots of details to it, but it was for renewable energy in the state. And basically with the decommissioning of Vermont Energy's Vermont Yankee plant, there was a lot of stuff going on around that. So I was looking into sort of the renewed funding for that. And that was, I made some really, really great contacts at that point and was sort of looking into the policy realm of things. One of the other things I had the opportunity to do was canvas for VPIRG, one of my favorite experiences here in Vermont. And I think that if anybody hasn't done it, you have to do it. You absolutely have to do it. It's like, you know, you have to be able to go to door and talk with people who are so weird or so interesting. So it's a scary experience, but it's great. And it gave me a lot of the tools that I need and use sort of in my daily, everyday life. So that's one of the great experiences that I've had since being here in Vermont and going to UVM. Some of the other things that I've done was I worked for the Department of Energy's Vermont Clean Cities Coalition. So I researched electric vehicle transportation in the state and worked with businesses to bring workplace charging to their place of business. I also worked with Richard on an academic component of that, and I looked at Obama's goal to have 100 million electric vehicles on the road by 2015, which he totally revoked by the time that I was done with my project. So still things change. What? Yeah, I think you read my report, right? So I finished it at the end of my semester 2014, and he revoked it January 31st. So, but yeah, so those are some of the really cool things that I've had the opportunity to do. And sort of to echo everybody else, just building the relationships in your local community. You know, we're in Vermont, and one of the great things is that you can cold call people. You can say, like, look, I'm really interested in renewable energy. This is what I'm passionate about. I want to learn more. Like, I don't know this. Can you help me learn a little bit more? One of the best things that I did, I think, before I graduated, that I was advised by some of my professors in the Rubenstein School was reach out to as many people as you can. So do intel meetings and then keep track of them. So I reached out to people who I had worked with through my internships and reached out to people who I knew were very influential in the renewable energy community just in Vermont. And people got back to me. They said, you know, yeah, I can sit down for 20 to 30 minutes. And I took the time to go out and meet with them and just ask them a lot of questions and take notes on everything you do and put it all in like a Google Drive or something like that. But yeah, that's like, you know, it's all about fortifying relationships, and that's what brings you down the road. And you're going to learn. I had no idea what I wanted to do before I graduated. I knew that I was passionate about renewable energy, but yeah. So yeah, excited for all of you guys. Is everybody seniors? Juniors? Freshmen?
Start thinking. All right, more to come. Ben.
Thanks. So I guess I'm the old man here. I graduated in 2007. My name is Ben Walsh. I'm the Clean Energy Advocate at VPIRG, and I was an environmental studies and political science major at the University of Vermont, actually almost a decade ago now. So that's weird. In my day-to-day work at VPIRG, I'm our clean energy advocate, so I'm essentially our lobbyist on all things clean energy. VPIRG is the state's largest grassroots environmental advocacy organization. We knock on doors, as Carson mentioned, all around the state. Actually, we knock on doors in literally every single inhabited city, town, grant, and gore in the state of Vermont. And we have members in every corner of the state, in every inhabited municipality. And that allows us to have some real power in the State House, to go into the State House and to have conversations with any legislator, Republican, Democrat, progressive, independent, and have, you know, really connect with them about what their constituents want to see when it comes to clean energy and efficiency. And really, it also allows us to have the organizational resources to do the research necessary to understand what the potential policy pathways are in Vermont. Should we have more solar or wind? Should we Are we doing enough on electric efficiency? Are we doing enough to weatherize houses and actually get that information into the hands of legislators? So my day-to-day varies a lot over the course of the year. During the legislative session from January through May, it's suit and tie every day in the State House, having conversations with legislators pretty much all day long. The rest of the year, it's all about building for that, doing the research, making the connections, building the relationships and the coalitions to make that 4.5 months when the legislature is actually in session possible and effective. So I grew up in Richmond, Vermont, which is just a few towns south of here on 89, and I grew up in the middle of the woods in a log cabin on the Winooski River, and I thought that was really normal. I thought that was like what the American childhood was. Of course, that's actually not remotely true. So when I realized that, when I realized just how special that was, I decided to go to UVM and to major in environmental studies because I wanted to do something to protect that kind of special childhood that I had, to make that still possible in the future, and actually to make it more possible in the future. Not just for people that live in Vermont, but to protect the environment for people all around the world. And so that's ultimately how I ended up working on climate policy and energy. So when I was at UVM, I joke sometimes, I just talked so much about stuff and I wrote so much about stuff. I actually wanted to get out in the world and do something about stuff. But that's not the whole picture. I got an incredibly solid foundation in all of the ways that we're screwing the world up. And that was really, really useful when I actually got out of the walls of this academic institution and wanted to, actually use that information to try to change some things. So when I graduated UVM, I found this program called Green Corps, CORPS, like the Marine Corps or AmeriCorps. It's a program that trains people coming out of college to do environmental organizing, to get people involved in the democratic process, to tell politicians or corporations, no, what we're doing right now is not acceptable. You need to change. You need to have better energy policies. You need to stop, deforestation in Indonesia for palm oil. Those are the kinds of campaigns that you work on as a Green Corps organizer. To sort of tie a bow on my journey that got me here, when I graduated Green Corps, I actually came right back to Vermont, and I ran the Canvas office for VPIRG, the organization I work for now, and got a chance to really travel all around the state, talking to people about energy issues. It is, if it's worth looking into. It's a job where you get to bike and camp in every corner of Vermont and have conversations with Vermonters about real issues, to actually connect with them and really dig in on the issues that we're talking about. It's also an incredibly important political act to actually have real conversations with people about controversial issues that are important to them and to you. So I ran the Canvas office. I went over to our organizing team, ran that for a while, and then shifted over into the advocacy realm, where I am today. Talking to legislators on your behalf and the behalf of all Vermonters and all of our members.
All right,